Dental free of charge and open 7 days a week. Mental Health Minnesota is here for you. MentalHealthMN.org. Sponsored by Mental Health Minnesota, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
It seems like the cost of everything is going up, so it's nice to save a little dough when you can, especially for something you love to eat every day. Before I go grocery shopping, I print out a coupon for $1 off any Country Hearth, Village Hearth, or Artisan Hearth bread product. My favorite is Dakota Style 12 grade. My wife's breakfast go-to is a toasted Village Hearth English muffin. We can save $1 on each. Go to countryhearthbreads.com/coupons and print 1 or 2 out before your next shopping trip. And don't forget, Country Hearth, Village Hearth, and Artisan Hearth bread products are baked locally and delivered fresh daily.
Are you ready for marketing that works as hard as you do? At Leighton & Gage, we're local. Real strategists, real people, right here in your community. We don't just market, we go all in. From strategy to execution, we hustle and deliver results that make an impact for your business. Tailored solutions, real results, marketing that works.
Leighton & Gage. Find your focus.
It's Morning Talk on News Talk 1250 KBRF, brought to you by Pioneer Care and Fergus Falls Monument Company. Now, here's Mary Dolan and Dave Bishop.
Good Thursday morning. It is 10 after 9 and currently sitting in at 41 in Fergus Falls. Hope everybody's having an excellent start to your day. Joining me in for Mary Dolan once again, we got Derek Sidian. How you doing, Derek?
Hello. I'm doing pretty good this morning.
How are you feeling after last night's Where to Eat?
Yeah, I'm feeling okay.
Okay.
I'm not having to. I didn't have a lot of that sauce, so.
And for those of you who are wondering, we filmed a episode of Where to Eat last night. Derek City and Zach Daniels and myself went to it's Purple Palace. It's always been referred to as the Purple Palace in Vining, and it was actually technically known as the Vining Palace was its actual name, but everybody called it the Purple Palace.
It's that lovely shade of purple.
It's a gorgeous
everyone
shade of purple.
Loves.
And there's new owners. This is the only one that we've done twice, that we've done 2 episodes at, and did one about 2 years ago, and then they absolutely totally renovated the place, all new menu, all new everything. So we were like, hey, why not? We'll come back and we'll shoot an episode. And one of the new items on the menu is the Diablo Burger.
Yep.
The Diablo Burger is something I undertook. It has covered in jalapenos, bacon, cheese, and it comes with this scorpion sauce.
They said there are 2 options, right? They have 2 options. You have the normal Diablo sauce and then the scorpion sauce.
Yes.
And
we went with the scorpion sauce.
Yeah, it was interesting. It's very aptly named, I feel.
Yeah.
It was.
It's buffalo sauce on steroids. I mean, it had kind of that buffalo sauce taste but it had a whole different kick.
Yeah,
I'm still kind of tasting it.
And I will say, I'm not a fan of buffalo sauce, so I didn't enjoy it. But first bite, I was sitting there thinking to myself, this is fine. I'm not a big fan of buffalo sauce, so I'm not really enjoying it. But it wasn't as hot as I was expecting.
And then you sat down.
And then I walked off of camera, and I sat there for a while. And it was just like a pain in my tongue. Like someone had taken a scorpion's tail and stabbed a spot just right on my tongue. For a while, it was a good few minutes that I was just sitting there and just my tongue just hurt. That's all it was. It wasn't an aftertaste. It wasn't all over in my mouth. It was just right on the edge of my tongue, just hurt.
It was kind of funny because Zach doesn't do heat well or spicy well, and he made it through. He did a little bit on his first little dab where they used the roasted potatoes, dipped it in there, and took a bite, and he was okay with that. It wasn't too bad. Well, then he took a piece of steak after I had poured it all over my sandwich. I had a little left. He goes in and fully dunks his steak bite in there, and I can't wait to see what it looks like on film, because I just wide-eyed, watched him go over there and then put it in his mouth, and I'm like, oh, he's going to end up underneath the table crying, because that's a lot of scorpion sauce.
Yeah, and the owner's just sitting there laughing at him.
Yeah.
It was so funny, but they were so surprised that you didn't have.
I didn't have any issues.
You didn't have any real issues.
No, I mean, it was spicy, but I could deal with it.
Yeah, but it wasn't. And after a few minutes, like, it wasn't something that affected my whole night.
No.
So I was not happy for a few minutes, but it's definitely worth a try, especially if you like spicy things. I'm interested if anyone has as mellow of a reaction as Dave did.
Well, I know how to deal with spice. If it gets, one of my little tricks, and I explained it to Kevin, one of the owners, because he's like, I'm watching you eat that burger covered in that sauce, and I can't figure out how you're doing it. And I left the pickles off to the side, and anytime it got too spicy, it's kind of a tip for anybody who's eating spicy food. You never want to drink water, never, because it spreads the capsaicin.
No.
You either want milk or a dairy product or a pickle. It sounds stupid, but I was taking those pickles, popping one in my mouth, rubbing it over my tongue, and it just kills the hot spice.
Yeah, my problem is I had pickles. I had pickles.
I
That came
kept
with
telling
my
you to
burger,
use a pickle.
but I don't like pickles. So I just sat through. Eventually I would have caved if it had kept going, but like I said, it was only a few minutes, and it was a painful few minutes, but it was nothing I couldn't handle myself.
It was good. It's going to make for an excellent episode. That one will either drop on May 2nd or June 6th.
I think it's May 2nd.
Zach said he's still trying to get a Mexican place for May. So
Well, last night he was telling,
okay.
he was saying this is the one for May. So
okay. I just wanted
next Friday you should be able to
watch
expect
that
it.
one. It's going to be a fun episode. It is one of our better ones. So it's going to be a good one. Again, if you want to see any of the other episodes that we have, you can go to kbrfradio.com. Click under the podcast and click Where to Eat, or actually there's a Where to Eat tab. You can go to the Fergus Now app and click on the Where to Eat tab, or head over to KBRF Radio on YouTube, where you can also watch this show. And make sure you subscribe. So anytime we upload videos, whether it be Morning Talk, Derek doing the weekly recap, or Where to Eat, you'll get notified. Plus sports. We got a lot of high school sports still left this season.
Speaking of which, if you want some new content to take in today, we just posted a story today about the cannabis, an update on what cannabis is, what's happening with cannabis in town here with the city council. They denied this last Monday. They denied the permits for
the interim use permits. Yeah,
the interuse permits for Sugar High and Elevate for reasons based on the ordinance and some of the wording. It's very interesting. But one thing that the city council meeting did not really cover, they did not let either owner talk during that section of the meeting. So I went out and I spoke with Emily McCune of Sugar High and Chris Stock of Elevate, and I put together that story. I'm happy with how it turned out, and I think it's really valuable to hear what the people who are affected by this, what they have to say. And I think that was something that really got missed out at the city council meeting. So if you want to know some of what they think, also they're probably pretty happy to talk about it if you want to stop by and talk with them about anything cannabis. I know both are very happy to talk about it, but that video is a good place to get started.
And I've talked to several city leaders, and when it comes to cannabis, whether you're for it or against it, it is a state law, and by state law, we have to have at least one dispensary because of our population. So they've got to approve at least one. So the city council can sit there and say, no, we're not allowing, but the state of Minnesota says you got to allow one, at least one. And I mean, I don't smoke, I don't use THC products, I don't even use CBD products. But it's one of those things where it's state law. It's city's gonna get in trouble if they don't start doing stuff.
Yeah, and right now, everything that happened on Monday night's meeting, it's fully compliant with state law. They're not they're not, denying something for absolutely nothing. They have a genuine question that's being asked around the state right now. They're implementing these buffer zones, or allowing cities to implement buffer zones for schools, daycares, parks, and the wording for the state law that was put into the ordinance has to do with attractions.
Yeah.
And they measure based off of the land parcels that those attractions are in. So
not the attractions themselves,
not
but
the
the
attractions
parcel
themselves,
of land.
but the parcel of land. So, and I know Elevates is really, really close, but they're thinking about potentially Spies Park being one of those. And there's going to be some debate on this. There's going to be, the city runs the risk of legal action regardless of what they do at this point. That was something City Attorney Ralph Nicomo talked about at the meeting, was whether they had denied it or not because of the wording. They are open to legal cases from whether they had denied it or let it go. But I think it's going to be interesting moving forward. And just based on the history with the city council and the way they've been ruling, they've been making the laws with cannabis. No one in that industry is feeling great about what happened on Monday, but there is there is validity to it.
So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that moves forward.
Yes.
And we'll keep you up to date with that, with everything from KBRFradio.com news. And watch the interviews. Again, head to KBRFradio.com, click on the story, and you can click on the video right there. As very, very, Derek, you did a great job on that video.
No, thank you.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the things happening in the news world other than the marijuana. In 2024, scammers stole a record of $16.6 billion, a 33% increase from 23, with over 250,000 complaints and an average loss of $19,000. Ransomware posed the greatest threat, with a 9% rise in complaints, and those over 60 reported the most losses, totaling $4.8 billion. Investment scams led to over $6.5 billion in losses.
Yeah, it's rough.
It is.
The scamming is ridiculous. I know whenever we post certain stories about crashes or accidents or crazy things that happen in the news, there's scammers posting links in our comments on Facebook saying, here's the footage from this scene, and
we got to go through and delete that.
We have to go through and delete it, report it, and they just pop up, and it looks like people just grabbing stuff from they make it look like it might be from ABC or any of these other larger media that theoretically could be covering it, but really they're just scams. They're trying to get into your information.
And one thing I've had a lot of law enforcement on talking about scams, and during the news beat and stuff, you see all the scams, and just remember, if somebody is asking you to pay for something with a gift card, it's a scam.
It is
100%. The IRS is not going to say, "Hey, you need to pay your tax bill in a gift card." You can't bail anybody out of jail with a gift card. It's if you hear the word gift card, it is 100% a scam.
And they specifically don't ask for money over the phone because of scams.
Because money can be traced. Gift cards can't.
Yeah. Well, I'm law enforcement. Law enforcement won't ask for money over. If you get a call from someone claiming to be law enforcement and they're asking for your credit card or a gift card or anything like that, it is a scam. They will not They will say come down to the station or the courthouse or whatever, and so we could get this figured out. But they will not ask for money over the phone. That is one thing that can easily get overlooked.
Yeah. So if you do have law enforcement calling, most of the time they won't call, they'll send a letter.
Exactly.
IRS will send a letter. You are important, your money's important, but you're not that important. So they will send a letter. So just kind of remember that.
Yeah, if you are that important to the IRS, they will show up at your house.
Yes, and they won't call ahead.
No.
Saying we're on the corner, and if you don't give us the money right now, we're going to show up. I saw one video where somebody was threatening the person and saying that they were federal authorities and they're just down the street, they're going to come arrest them. Well, the person that they were threatening was the chief of police, and the chief of police had them on speakerphone and they were videotaping it just to, release to the public, hey, this is scammers. I mean, they're calling the chief of police saying that they're going to send the police to come get them. Well, the chief of police is at his desk in the police department.
Yeah,
so
they get crafty.
Yeah,
they it won't even necessarily be chief of police. I know we've had a lot of releases. We had a lot of releases last year where the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office was like, "Hey, they're using this officer's name."
Oh yeah, Alan McCash.
And they have a way of making their numbers look like it's actually from the police department or the sheriff's office. It can be kind of scary, but just remember that they will not ask for money over the phone.
And anybody who's actually gotten a call from the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office, the number comes up odd. So I mean, it doesn't look like a regular number.
Right.
So it's one of those things where if it says Ottawa County Sheriff, it's good chance it's a scam.
Yeah.
So if you've got any questions, go down to the sheriff's office. They're very nice, very polite people. They will help you out. So before you send any money, just go down to the sheriff's office or the Fergus Falls Police Department. Both have great front office people, and just work it out with them. They've got great detectives, great law enforcement. We got a great law enforcement community here in Fergus Falls.
Yeah.
Well, it's Newstalk 1250 KBRF. Coming up in just a moment or two, we're going to get into the market update. If I can find the button, because the button decided to move on me. There it is. So we'll have that coming up after the markets. Also on the way, at 10 o'clock, we'll have more SRN Radio News. After the break, we're going to talk a little bit about the White House considering proposals to increase the nation's birth rate. And President Trump's second term nears its 100-day mark. So we'll discuss that and more on Newstalk 1250 KBRF.
Back with more Morning Talk with Mary Dolan and Dave Bishop. Brought to you by Pioneer Care and Fergus Falls Monument Company. After the markets on News Talk 1250 KBRF. Depend on it.
How far would you drive for a great deal?
47.
61.
44.
I drove 89 miles. Customers go many extra miles for their quality Toyota. Sienna, Camry, Avalon all come standard with the quality Toyota no haggle, no hassle price guarantee. View the bottom line price online before you drive, because that's the price you'll pay. Quality Toyota. What's your number? West Lincoln Avenue in Fergus Falls or at qualitytoyota.net. Let's go places.
This is Ryan Welly with the Fergus Falls Monument Company. When you're thinking about a memorial for your loved one, I invite you to stop in and see our large selection of memorials on display. The memorial you choose is crafted for you right here locally with an everlasting warranty. That means it's perfect, now and forever, guaranteed. Call or stop into Fergus Falls Monument or visit us online at foreverstonememorials.com. Memorials that matter.
What's the ox say?
Today on Hot Talk with the Ox, right away and throughout the show, well, how about that Tim Walz speech last night? We'll laugh, we'll cry, hear clips and reactions. At 2:36, hear from an Alaskan native on why he wants more energy production in that state. At 3:36, we'll quantify the seemingly way off balance liberal media coverage of Abrego Garcia with the Media Research Center. See you for Hot Talk with the Ox today from 2 to 5 on KBRF.
What's the ox say?
I'll never forget the time our annual meeting nearly fell apart because our venue was too small. We were practically elbow to elbow, and it was impossible to stay focused. Then I found the Bigwood Event Center, and it was a game changer. Their space had just the right feel, roomy and flexible, whether we needed a smaller setting or a larger space, or both. They even set up an outdoor area for our team. They thought of everything. It made all the difference. Meetings with impact begin at bigwoodeventcenter.com.
Amplify your brand with Leighton Media. Cohesive brand strategy starts here. At Leighton Media, we'll take your business on a journey of seamless connection across all marketing platforms, radio, digital, event marketing, and more. amplifying your brand's reach and impact. Ready to get started? Connect with Leighton Media today. Our team is ready to work for you. Leighton Media, your success starts here.
With its increased efficiency and lower fuel costs, ag producers know that propane is better for their bottom line. And now, participating in the Propane Farm Research Program can impact your bottom line. Share your propane equipment performance data and you can receive compensation like up to $5,000 towards towable generators and generators for backup power and up to $2,000 for propane building heat systems. To take advantage of all the ways propane is better for your bottom line, start your application today at propane.com/PFRP.
Find out why the markets are moving. Get in-depth ag information with the Red River Farm Network on News Talk 1250 KBRF. Depend on it.
Good morning. I'm Jamie Dickerman with the market update on the Red River Farm Network. Grain market starting the day mostly lower. Van On and Company's Christy Van On said it's been a bit quiet today.
Yeah, it's been really quiet. And I think, overall that's what the market's struggling with right now is there's enough stories to kind of grab the bears' attention. There's enough stories to kind of grab the bulls' attention, and therefore we're just not getting anywhere. There's some rumors in the backdrop that you could start to see tariffs come down on China and see the two sides start to negotiate, but we're kind of getting a lot of different stories on whether or not that is actually true. And then we come in here and we just have a lot of rain in the forecast, and some of that's going to be very beneficial to some areas. We have a lot of dry areas through the western Corn Belt, Dakotas, into western Iowa, into Nebraska, and they're going to get this big drink of water, especially for western Iowa. That's going to be very beneficial. On the flip side, you do have some areas that are going to be wet and struggle to plant in the eastern Corn Belt, but it looks like a pocket is opening up in Illinois moving forward, and I think that is key.
Livestock markets also quiet.
Yeah, livestock have been really trading off of the stock market to a degree, and we've had a couple of really great days for the Dow, and I think that's been supportive of them, but we have the Dow market only down 11 points today, so very steady, and therefore you're seeing really the meat markets do that as well. I do think they wanted to go earlier, but export sales were pretty poor, and so therefore, you're just stuck in a little bit of a rut.
Van On and Company's Christy Van On. Dow Jones Industrial Average right now is up 207 points, 39,814. Crude is up 32 cents at 62.59. Reporting agriculture's business, this is the Red River Farm Network.
Here's the latest from the Minnesota Farmers Union. MFU Education Director Winona Anderson shares some of the details about their upcoming summer leadership camp.
Enrollment is open for our summer leadership camps. We have overnight camps that we host in Erskine and New London, Minnesota. We also do a few day camps as well in the Twin Cities area and southern Minnesota. Our camps are open for ages 8 to 18. We do an elementary, a junior, and a senior camp. We do activities like hiking and swimming. There's a campfire every night. There's theme nights as well. And we also have an educational component. We teach about cooperatives and agriculture. So it's a great opportunity to have summer fun and also to learn a few things while you're there. To learn more and to register, you can visit our website at mfu.org/camp. That is MFU as in Minnesota Farmers Union.org.
Your voice in St. Paul and D.C., it's the Minnesota Farmers Union.
Farm Rescue makes sure that you aren't alone. They're there to extend the hand and to take the burden.
Even the most independent farmers need help sometimes, and asking for that help is protecting the future. Farm Rescue provides equipment and volunteers free of charge to assist in times of crisis. We're currently accepting applications for planting and haying assistance. If you or someone you know could use our help, call 701-252-2017 or visit farmrescue.org today.
The Red River Farm Network is reporting agriculture's business with the markets, farm news, and weather information you need each and every day.
And hats off to you, Don, and the Red River, what you guys do, connecting your listeners to what's happening and people and telling stories. You guys are doing an awesome job at it, so thank you.
That's Greg Peterson, better known as Machine Repeat. The Red River Farm Network can be heard from Worthington to War Road, from Bismarck to Bemidji, 23 radio stations, and online at rrfm.com.
Checking the numbers right now, we're looking at Minneapolis wheat. May, we're down 2 3/4 cents, 5.88 3/4. July down 2 1/4 at 6.04 3/4. Chicago, May up 3/4 now at 5.29. Kansas City, May is down 3 1/4 at 5.34 1/2. May corn up 3 3/4 here at 4.75 3/4. December unchanged, 4.54 1/2. May soybeans up 2 1/2, 10.42 3/4. November down 1 1/4, 10.26 1/4. June live cattle is down 45 cents, 207.65. May feeders up to 288.37. Lean hogs in May down 5 at 91.82. This is the Red River Farm Network.
You want to feel important. You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and that can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We felt that way too. I am Sergeant First Class David Crow from Farmington, Minnesota, and that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Minnesota Army National Guard soldiers. We are people just like you, and together we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit nationalguard.com/MN to find out more. Sponsored by the Minnesota Army National Guard, aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
Are you ready for marketing that works as hard as you do? At Leighton Engage, we're local. Real strategists, real people, right here in your community. We don't just market, we go all in. From strategy to execution, we hustle and deliver results that make an impact for your business. Tailored solutions, real results, marketing that works.
Leighton Engage. Find your focus.
There's lots of gear to help you fish, but make sure you pack your guides in your tackle box. Listen to Todd and Phil from PT's Guide Service during Gone Fishing, presented by Frontier Marine and Power Sports. Gone Fishing helps you land more fish by letting you know the techniques that are working on area lakes. Listen in as PT's Guide Service shares a boatload of experience. Gone Fishing can be heard right here every Friday afternoon at 5:25, presented by Frontier Marine and Power Sports. Listen in this Friday and let people know you've gone fishing.
Keeping you company out on the lakes, the Minnesota Twins, and News Talk 1250 AM KBRF.
It's day baseball at Target Field. Minnesota hosting the Chicago White Sox, finale of a 3-game series, and the Twins gunning for their first 3-game winning streak of the season. Chris Paddock gets the ball opposite Shane Smith. We're on the air at 11:30. Danny and I have first pitch at 12:10, and it's all right here on your home for Twins baseball.
News Talk 1250 AM KBRF. Depend on it.
You feel that, honey? Change is in the air.
Let me guess. It's time to finally tackle that kitchen?
Exactly. I'm thinking sleek, modern, and stunning countertops that transform the whole space.
Sounds like a job for Northern Stone. They've got the quality granite and quartz countertops in the area.
And they have the best customer service. It's a perfect idea.
Absolutely. It's the easiest way to reinvent our home and add real value. Change your space, change your life. Visit Northern Stone and make change happen today. northernstone.com.
Wow, dudes. Got a case of spring fever? Let's cure it. Retro tropical style. The Fergus Falls Craft Beer Tour presented by Builder's First Source is hitting the Bigwood Event Center on Friday, May 2nd from 5 to 9. Rock those neon windbreakers, soak up the vibes, and sip unlimited craft beverages. And have some fun in the indoor sun with your crew, all in support of the Fergus Falls Area Chamber of Commerce. Thanks to our sponsors Olson Oil, Lakeway Express, and Mike Miller Roofing. Save $10 on tickets at Fergus Falls Liquor.
Community is important, and you'll find it at Pioneer Point. Spacious apartments, thoughtfully designed for older adults, provide the best in senior living. Heated parking and elevator access makes life easy. Your neighbors at Pioneer Point hold a welcoming, family-like approach to living. Choosing from an array of special features and options, you'll find many ways to define your lifestyle at Pioneer Point. Call or schedule your tour online today at pioneercare.org.
News Talk 1250 KBRF. Listen anytime, any place with the Fergus Now app on your phone. Check in our forecast for today. A little bit of rain possible later on into tonight. We're going to top out around 58, 41 for tonight's low. We'll hit 64 on Friday, 64 on Saturday, Sunday 65 with a little bit of rain possible in from Sunday night into Monday and Monday night. 65 for Sunday's high, 63 on Monday, 54 on Tuesday, and 64 on Wednesday. Right now, Fergus Falls sitting in at 46. It's Morning Talk brought to you by Pioneer Care and Fergus Monument. Joining me again, Derek Sidian. And Derek, we got a lot of things to talk about, and including, before we wrap things up, it's Thursday, meaning we're getting into the weekend, and you are our resident movie expert, so we'll get a little bit of a thought on what's happening in the movie world with you as well.
Yeah, so we've got here in Fergus Falls at the Westridge Theaters, they've got a few movies playing. A Minecraft movie continues to play. It's making money, so it's
making a lot of money.
It's going to keep playing.
So we'll get an update with that before we wrap things up. But first, let's talk about the White House considering proposals to increase the nation's birth rate, including a $5,000 baby bonus for new mothers. President Trump has expressed support for the idea, and the administration is focusing on policies to support American families. Vice President J.D. Vance also advocates for policies that make it easier for families to afford care for children. I know child care is a big topic, especially as we look at the workforce.
Oh yeah, it's a major topic. I think across the board, you look at a lot of Republicans and Democrats alike. That's one thing that a lot of people are saying: child care and care for the elderly are the two major things that are really important just across the board. So personally, I would be really excited to see this. I would like for it to come out before my wife gives birth to our second child. You know, maybe that's a bit selfish, but no, I think if you want to encourage, if you want to encourage people to have children at this where our economy is at, having an incentive like this is a really good way of being like, hey, we know kids are expensive. Here's a little bit to help offset the costs.
That and childcare. I mean, they really got to start working on ways for people to afford childcare. It is very expensive.
Yes, it is.
Well, let's continue on. The President Trump, his second term nears 100-day mark. His approval ratings at 40%, a 7-point decline from February. Now, most Americans disapprove of his tariff increases at 59% disapprove of it. And the cuts to federal departments, 55% of Americans don't like that. Concerns are also raised about Trump's use of executive orders, with 51% saying he's using it too much for policy this way, doing too much with executive orders and not going through Congress.
Yeah, you know, when you hear about articles, not to say that this isn't happening, but I'm not hearing a lot about Congress passing laws. I'm hearing a lot about executive orders from Trump. So
yeah, you're right.
I can see why a lot of people would be concerned about that. You know, we've got three branches of government for a reason. You know, so to hear about really only one branch primarily, it gets a bit concerning. And
speaking of which, a nationwide survey found that Americans across party lines support the Constitution system of checks and balances. 66% say the presidency should not ignore court rulings, and 67% oppose appointing judges without Senate approval. Democrats, Republicans, and independents alike believe that the courts and Congress should be able to check the president's actions. Political science professor says that the poll also found that the public's trust is high in medical scientists at 73%, the military 72%, and scientists at 71%. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, something that I don't remember if it was something we would have been able to talk about yesterday, but RFK talking about putting together a registry for people with autism is a very weird thing happening right now. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, RFK has been making the rounds the last week talking about how autism is a sickness and we need to fix it. And one of the things that he has proposed is a registry for people with autism. I saw a video earlier today talking about how really if they were to implement that, all it would really do is have people, because it would use private health records is the idea. You would use private health records to create the registry, which
I'm okay with them tracking it. I don't like names being on there. That's a little.
And yes. And so really what some people are concerned about is that it will actually discourage people from getting tested and that they'll say, oh, look, our rate of autism is dropping, when really it's just hiding because they don't want to be on a registry and they don't want that private information to be out there.
Well, speaking of health, looks like the U.S. Health Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has announced plans to remove 8 synthetic food dyes from American products by the end of 2026. Red 3, Red 40, Blue 1, Blue 2, Yellow 5, and Yellow 6, and Green 3. Apparently, Blue 3 is fine, but these hues can be found in candies and cereals and in some sodas. However, these particular dyes have been linked to hyperactivity in children and allergic reactions. Which popular products could soon look different? Well, you'll see changes in Skittles, Jolly Ranchers, M&M's, Trix, Sunny D, and even Flaming Hot Cheetos, just to name a few. So.
Oh, no, not the Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Not the Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
How they can't change those. No, I think this is something where, I think it's been talked about for a while of like food dyes and additives, bringing in the rain on that. That's something I can get behind. I don't know. To me, I worry that it could be just an empty promise of saying you're going to do it and not following through on actually.
A lot of these dyes, though, are illegal, like in Canada, Europe.
This is true.
So, I mean, they've got to be able to manufacture them without those dyes.
But there are a lot of things illegal in all those countries that are still legal here and we're able to sort of get away with some of that. So, not saying that this is I do think that this is a good thing. It's more of a I'll believe it when I see it actually happen.
I think it's going to happen.
I hope so.
Well, you mentioned earlier you've got a baby on the way, baby number 2, and the average parent experiences almost 50 milestones with their baby in the first year. A Talker research survey done on behalf of Horizon Organic found 66% of parents can't wait for their baby's first steps, and 62% eagerly anticipate the first words. However, only 45% feel very knowledgeable when it comes to their baby's nutritional needs. The first birthday and the changes that come with it can be both wonderful and emotional, says Erica Bordeaux of Horizon Organic. Continuing on with between navigation of changing diets and taste buds, it can feel harder to ensure children are getting everything they need to reach developmental milestones. So, do you remember what your daughter's first words were?
Ooh, that was kind of hard because it's one of those things where they're babbling and then all of a sudden they say something and you don't know if they actually are trying to say a word or just happen to babble it together. I could be wrong, but I think the first one was Dada.
Oh, nice.
I think that was the first one. It was something we were encouraging of learning, dad and mom. So it sort of made sense that it was going to fall to one of them, and something about going dad, 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 dad seems to be really appealing to my daughter, at least at that time. But speaking of nutrition for young kids, it's really difficult to get them to eat stuff.
Yeah.
It is so hard. There are so many, and especially so on Easter, our daughter got spoiled with Easter candy.
Oh.
It was bad. And so Easter, and to all of our credit, but with my daughters and just us as a household, we kept it to Easter. Okay, we've got a bunch of candy. She's just going to be wanting to eat candy. We'll try and get whatever we can in there. But then Monday, not so much candy. We were actually able to pull back, and which we were kind of worried it might be difficult to do after a day full of candy. But no, it's really hard to make sure that they're not just being like my daughter loves fruit snacks, so she'll constantly ask she'll be like, snack, and it's like, okay, can we do an orange? She loves cheese, so it's like, can we do cheese? Is there literally anything of substance that we can give you over something like this? And sometimes that can be a little bit of a fight, and we just have to kind of wait it out until she does get to the point where she's like, okay, I'll have this thing.
Well, what you have to do is you have to sneak into the treats and eat some of that yourself, and all of a sudden, there's no more treats.
Yeah, and that's another thing we've done is not even actually not having any treats, but we were driving the car a couple of weeks ago, and my wife had gotten a bunch of the Hershey's chocolate eggs, and we had given her some, but it got to the point where when we were in the car, she'd just keep asking for eggs. And so eventually I was like, oh, they're all gone, even though we still had like half a bag full sitting on the passenger floor. I'm just like, nope, all gone. It's all done. And she'd be upset about it, but eventually it's like, it's all done. If we say it's all gone, it's all gone.
Yeah.
And it's one of those lies you kind of have to tell as a parent to make sure that your kids not just their blood isn't just complete sugar.
Yeah, definite. Well, it looks like Taylor Swift is previously the youngest self-made woman billionaire, and she has surpassed Lucy Glue, the founder of Scale AI, at the age of 30. Glue's estimated a 5% stake is now worth $1.2 billion, earning her the record. So Taylor Swift getting passed for the youngest of self-made billionaire.
That's quite impressive.
That is. That's a lot of money.
I wish I could have that much money.
Now, ABC has renewed Dancing with the Stars for the 34th season. Robert Irwin, a wildlife conservationist and brother of Bindi Irwin, will compete following her Mirrorball Trophy win in season 21. Season 33 garnered high viewership and engagement, the finale attracting 32 million votes. So Robert is trying to get to more and exciting ventures. So
Robert Irwin has been going around a lot on social media. He released, he did a photo shoot shirtless.
Okay.
And there were a lot of people who all of a sudden became a lot of women in their late 20s, early 30s who became obsessed with Robert Irwin. And so when they announced that he was going to be on Dancing with the Stars, I'm like, oh, they're capitalizing on that. And he's capitalizing on it as well. I just saw a video today. Someone was asking him questions, and they're looking into like him having a snake around his shoulders during a dance at some point, trying to work stuff like that in. So
it'll be interesting.
It'll be an interesting season.
Well, interested in the Oscar-nominated film Conclave has surged following the Pope Francis's death. Of the acclaimed political thriller starring Ralph Fiennes saw a 283% increase in viewership on Amazon Prime Video. Data shows that a jump from 1.8 million to 6.9 million minutes viewed after the pontiff's passing. The movie delves into the Vatican's secretive papal selection process and is based on the 2016 novel. Another Vatican-themed film, The Two Popes, is also spiked in viewership on Netflix by 417%. Both movies offer insight into the inner workings of the Roman Catholic Church. So that'll be interesting when they, convene the conclave here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, no, it'll be very interesting, and that's a movie that when the award season was coming out, I was like, oh, I didn't know this was a movie, and I want to watch it at some point here. Which now, of course, with the Pope passing away, it's like I really should watch this and figure out sort of what's going on there.
And of course, you got to realize it's a movie
it's
for
a movie.
entertainment. So there might be some, truth in the inner workings, but I've got a feeling it's, it's a drama.
Whether, the amount of fiction in it or not, it's always entertaining to watch something related to stuff going on, with especially stuff that doesn't happen very often, like a pope passing away and having to elect a new pope.
Well, speaking of movies, let's talk about what's happening here this weekend.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, Westridge Theater, one of the top movies currently right now is a Minecraft movie. The game it's based off of has a large following, so of course it's still making money, so it is still in theaters. Also, another one that is currently out is a movie called Drop. Let me just pull up some of the information here, because this is one that I've kind of been aware of for a little while.
I've never heard of it.
It's a sort of whodunit mystery thriller is what IMDb says. But I'll read you the description here. A widowed mother's first date in years takes a terrifying turn when she's bombarded with anonymous, threatening messages on her phone during their upscale dinner, leaving her questioning if her charming date is behind the harassment. Now, one of the interesting things, bits of trivia, and why I know about this is it is loosely inspired on the this woman's a comedic actress / she did a lot on a YouTube channel where she got a lot of her fame. But Olivia Sway, loosely inspired by her experience at a dinner with her partner and friend where she kept receiving random Shrek memes via airdrop. So she's been promoting it for the last couple months that is coming out, and so they took this seemingly like, yeah, it was harassment, but they decided to take that and was like, okay, what if we did a real horror thriller about the dangers of something like that? So that's one that when I saw that it's playing over at Westridge, I was like, I might actually go and see this one sometime soon because I've been sort of following it a little bit. Also, we have The Amateur starring Rami Malek. That's one I don't know a whole lot about. It seems to be a CIA sort of action. And
there's a group of people killed his wife, and he goes after them.
Yeah. One coming out freshly this week that is going to be playing at Westridge is The Accountant 2. Did you ever watch the first one?
I did. I don't remember too much about it, but I do remember watching that. Ben Affleck plays an accountant who has a lot of extra training.
Yeah, a lot of extra killing training.
Yes.
Well, they're coming out with the second one where he partners up with his brother, played by John Bernthal. So if you don't know who John Bernthal is, he does a lot of sort of gritty action, shoot 'em up sort of things. He plays the Punisher in Marvel's universe. So seeing this, I'm like, that feels like a good fit, and I've heard a lot of great things about The Accountant, so I'm sure this one is also going to be up there. And then finally at Westridge, we have The King of Kings, which we talked about. Was it this week that we talked about it? Yes, because Easter.
Yep.
It premiered last week, I believe, and it's about the story of Jesus. It's an animated film, so a great one if you want to watch something with your kids that is religious and like to try and keep them interested in religion. That I believe this one's going to be a good one for that. So those are for the ones at Westridge. But another thing that is worth noting happening this weekend is Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith is being re-released for its 20th anniversary. They've been promoting it with a bunch of popcorn buckets and things like that, of like little Vader heads, and so that's another thing coming out because it's the 20th anniversary. It's another big thing in movie news.
Well, sounds excellent, Derek. Thanks for joining us, and again, we'll find out more about what's happening with the cannabis. You've got that great story on KBRFradio.com. And Mary Dolan will be back on Monday. Morning Talk brought to you this morning and every morning by our good friends over at Pioneer Care and at Fergus Falls Monument. On the way, we have news from townhallradio.com. Clancy Oliphant from Ottawa County Solid Waste will join me in about 15 minutes. It's here on News Talk 1250. KBRF. Depend on it.